Oh, man. Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. Hey, I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our first guest is a 6-time Emmy Award nominee and a 2-time winner. He is responsible for some of your all-time favorite characters, be it Buster, Gary, or Forky. This guy's made something you love, and this Friday, his latest creation, Archibald's Next Big Thing, comes to life on Netflix. The supremely talented and funny Tony Hale is back on the show, everybody. How about that? Are you excited at home? I'm excited. They're excited. You hear them? They're wooing. People don't just woo for nothing. There is excitement in the room. We're going to bring them out in just a second. But first, I believe we have a trailer for the show. So let's go ahead and run that clip.
Hello.
Hey.
You're new to Crackridge, huh?
Kind of.
I'm Archibald, and this is B.
I know.
Oh.
Hey, congrats on your DreamWorks show, by the way.
My what?
Your show coming to Netflix.
Oh.
You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
Nope.
Yeah.
But you sound familiar.
Yeah. I'm your voice.
Excuse me?
Your voice.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I know, it's weird. When you speak, it's actually me, so.
I think you've confused me with another skinny chicken. I think you've confused me with another skinny chicken. What is happening?
I know it's a lot to take in. No, it's all gonna make sense when you see the trailer.
I have a trailer? Morning, B. Clean. What to choose? Parties, swim class, mall openings, adventure. I'm gonna go with adventure. Good morning, siblings. Sup, B?
Let's eat.
Launch pad? That's a funny name for a bathroom. Not a bathroom!
Yes, Archibald's my brother. Locked inside a rocket. He launched himself into outer space. Yep, that sounds about right.
Oh, I'm on? On what?
Adventure with a capital A.
And followed by the rest of the word in lowercase letters.
Oh, yeah!
I'm upside down!
Come on, Archibald!
Here I come! I'm unstoppable!
You got some fly moves.
Oh, chickens can't fly!
No, I mean your moves are fly.
Only about 10 feet, then I get really tired.
Never mind.
Gotta go! So what kind of animal are you?
I should probably go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Tony Hale. Come on!
Great. How nice. Hi, y'all. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
hi.
Thank you. Welcome back. It is
Aw.
look at him.
I love it.
Isn't
There's
that
little Archie.
fun? Little Archie.
And your shoes
oh.
are on point today.
Thank you, sir. You always, and that means a lot, because you are someone that anytime you're out doing press, anytime I see a photo of you, you see very considered is how I would describe your outfit. It's
Oh.
all very deliberate.
Thank you.
Very put together.
Well, I'm noticing that the watch band matches the shoes.
It's the only thing I know how to do.
And these are those
You see that? Gatorade.
Gatorade shoes.
That's correct. They're delicious and beautiful.
Wait. So
Hey,
does-
they're filled with electrolytes.
we'll get to Archibald in a minute.
Yeah.
So Nike has a Gatorade shoe.
Evidently. I noticed the
you.
color. I was very excited about that. I also like Gatorade. I thought, why not?
Oh my god.
These are made for me.
These are a boring brown.
No, I like that though. Sometimes you don't.
great.
These work because nothing else does. That's the idea.
Oh.
That's why we do
Oh,
this.
I see.
It pulls focus.
That's right.
That's the plan, at least. And here we are. We've done it for at least 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's working.
Congratulations, not just on this, which we're going to talk a lot about, but I mean the summer of Tony here. You've just amazing thing after amazing thing. The conclusion of Veep, which was you guys nailed it, stuck the landing there.
Thank you.
You had Forky, big deal, Toy Story 4.
Sweet Forky. Yeah.
You nominated yet again, and now the cherry on the sundae, Archibald. I mean, it's just what an amazing time to be Tony.
Thank you. I'm pretty thankful too. It's been a really fun. It was very sad to end Veep because we all like each other a little too much, and the ending. Whoever did see it, Selena Meyer, who Julie Louis-Dreyfus plays, did a really awful thing to my character. But it was just we really were a family because for 7 years you get really close. So that was kind of sad, but just like being able to do Toy Story and all that, and it's been a fun summer.
And you go out, you talk about each of those projects, but did you have to sort of bounce between all these different, were you working on them concurrently? Everything comes out, one after another, but were you working on all these different projects, balancing all these different emotions?
Yeah, I was working on this and Toy Story and Veep at the same time.
No way.
And it just kind of going in and out, but Veep, man, it got pretty crass. It got pretty intense. And going from that to like Sweet Archibald,
exactly.
It's like in my characters in Veep, there's just such a despair and just an emasculation. Yeah. And Archibald's so full of hope, so it was really kind of going back and forth, but super fun. Archibald was like a nice, kind of like a salve to kind of cover the pain of Gary.
Well, that's what I look at between Archibald and Forky, kind of, sort of the other side, like the pendulum swinging the other way after like your life as Buster and Gary. Like these two very different worlds.
Yeah.
So I was curious how much that overlapped and how you...
and I think there's a part of every character in me. Like like the insecurities and the anxiety, because I've struggled with anxiety. So Gary and Buster had a lot of that. And so you kind of tap into that, and then Archibald's always about hope and like optimism. That's a part of me too. So it's like you kind of find those spaces, I guess.
Well, for those that don't realize this, Archibald, the show is coming this Friday, but this character was born, I want to say at least 5 years ago, maybe more.
Yeah, it was
when you guys wrote the book, right?
Yeah, my friends Tony Biaggne and Victor Huckabee, who created the character Archibald, and then this lead illustrator at this publishing company, Misty Manley. We did this book, and I had met Victor Huckabee years ago at an LA art show. And I saw his work, and I was like, oh, man, I was a big fan of Beaker on The Muppet Show, just because it was all nonverbal, and he just made me laugh. And he reminded me the shape kind of Beaker, and my favorite color is yellow. And so I met him, and I was like, oh, dude, I would love to do something with this character. And I had been kind of going through this season I was doing Arrested Development, and I had hit this thing where... I think I've talked about this before. I know I've talked about this before, but my big thing in life was getting a sitcom, was like being on a show. And I lived here in New York for many, many years, and I was not able to get auditions, and I was really frustrated. So I got Arrested Development, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And then it scared me because it didn't satisfy me the way I thought it was going to satisfy me. And it really freaked me out. And I think it's because I was on a big thing. I was on like a great cast, great show. The writing was fantastic. And I was still looking to my next thing. And I was still looking to what's next. And it's that whole thing, if you're so focused on your next adventure, you're going to miss the adventure that you're on. And it really freaked me out. And I was like, wow, I have just never been present for most of my life, And so it really kind of this thing that I like to talk about, because I got my dream and I was still looking. And it's like, wow, I'm going to get to the end of my life and be like, all I did my whole life was just look to that next thing. And as freelancers, you can relate to this. A question you get a lot is, what's next for you? What's next for you? So you're almost kind of trained to always think about what's next. And so we talked about this kind of story in Archibald in the children's book. He goes on all these great adventures, but he's still looking to his next thing. And B, who's right there, who's traveling along with him, B's like, hey, Jack, you got to just be, man. You got to just be. And in the end, he realizes, oh, my big thing is right here. Like, my big thing is talking to you right now. My big thing is being in front of you guys. Like, that's my big thing right now. And so that woke me up. And now for the series, which has been such a gift. DreamWorks and Netflix have just been so wonderful. And my friends Jake Moffat and Drew Champion and Eric Fogel came along and helped with the show. And now Archibald sees everything as his big thing. Yeah. Everything is a big thing. And he just also walks into a situation and he sees the best in everyone. the best in every situation. And I'm telling you, in today's world, it's like, I feel like we're just seeing the worst in each other. You know, that's what it is.
Well, that's the thing. Watching this, because I got a chance to watch a couple of the episodes.
Oh,
and
thanks, man.
Oh, of course, it's so much fun, and it is so positive. And it was just interesting to me because it feels like, one, we need more positivity, and two, I think the idea of learning young to sort of be present and be in the moment, all the more applicable now with the infinite amount of distractions that are available.
Totally.
I love my niece and nephew to death. They really wanted to watch the new Avengers movie. They came over to watch it. They asked me to do this. They did not watch more than 20 minutes of the movie. They had their phone the whole time. He held out an entire conversation with me at the end of the movie. He absorbed some of it.
Yeah.
As what I feel like an old man yelling at the cloud at this point. But I was just like, this is something you want to do, but he's just so used to this world where he didn't put anything down for admittedly 3 hours. It's a long movie. I know I'm asking a lot of him, but I'm just saying.
Yes. No, I get it. I get it.
So I see this and I'm like, yeah, be present, be now. This is really important. Do you think that's something that is really important now, more so than maybe when we were younger, when we were kids?
Yeah, I do. And if I'm being honest, it's something I struggle with.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I had to take Twitter and Instagram and I use my wife's phone to post if I can post something, and she has a code to my phone that I can't upload it unless I need it, just because I as a man in my 40s, it's hard to like put it down, you know. So it's very, very, very tough to get past that. And in this show, we actually started off by saying it has kind of an 80s. It kind of takes place a little bit in that era where there weren't any kind of devices. And the fact is, Archibald is not completely present. Like he's a bit distracted, but he just has this kind of yes and attitude towards life, where I don't know. But he walks in and he's always open to it. And I know that I don't do that. I'm either like this, or I have a plan and I want that plan to go exactly right. And Archibald has a plan, but many times it does this, and just as life does that, you know. And so I do love that he's very eyes wide open to what's coming, which is something that I need to work on.
Yeah.
He's pretty much my role model. The skinny chicken with a brown tweed sweater is my role model.
Well, look at him. He's living his best life. Look how much fun he's having on that bicycle.
With his slim denim slacks.
You're not just the voice of Archibald. You're the executive producer on this project as well. So, and I think, and keep me honest here, that's your first time sort of like steering the ship, right?
Absolutely.
So talk to me a little bit about that, the decision to be in charge of it and to kind of man the helm in that way and steer the ship. But why'd you want to put yourself in that position?
You know, it's one of those things. I had no idea how to do animation. The three of us pitched this show to DreamWorks, and they were kind enough to do a pilot of it. And I had no idea what I'm doing. I still am learning, but DreamWorks has been so kind, because there's something called in the very beginning where you do an animatic and you have like a sketch version of an episode, and then it goes to animation. I didn't know what an animatic was, so I was constantly like, what's that, what's happening, what's this? And we just had a really great back and forth, that the patience that they had, and just also picking out his designs. I really wanted the colors to pop, and having been on Arrested and Veep, like, I'm so grateful to have worked with writing that the timing is very important. You know, turning jokes and all that kind of stuff. And be able to get in there and be like, yeah, this timing isn't right, and this needs to be quicker. And they were just been so gracious. But it is by far one of the biggest joys in my life. Yeah. I just have absolutely loved every single minute of it. And I think he's so full of joy. And sorry to interrupt.
Yes, no, please go ahead.
But that's something that I want to be more of just like joy. He just walks in the room and it's just joy. Yeah. And it's like, dang it, I love that. You know?
Absolutely. And that you feel that throughout every episode. There's an episode, I forget what number it falls on, but he has a moment where like he loses his vision for a part of the episode, and so he discovers this fruit that everybody thinks is garbage, and he finds
garbage
out
fruit. It's called garbage fruit.
Garbage fruit.
But it's a French man doesn't it? He says garbage, and he doesn't understand why people keep calling it garbage.
And he finds that it's delicious despite its appearance, and it's a funny moment, but also you fold a little nice little life lesson in there for the kids. When you guys were going through and you're extrapolating the book into a full series, how did you figure out what other little bits of wisdom, little pearls you guys wanted to fold in there?
And it's happened very organically, but for instance, with that, I love that everybody else sees it as like, oh, it looks ugly and it's called garbage. But Archibald's like, he can't see, so he just tastes it. And he's like, you guys got to try this. And it's that kind of like, don't judge a fruit by its name or by a book by its cover. But what's happened is we kind of always start with, he always makes there's always some big mistake he makes. But because of his yes and attitude, he goes with it rather than letting it keep him down. He just goes with it. And you see in these mistakes the bigger plan to a mistake, which I love. It's just the sense of like, yes, there's a plan, but again, life does this. And he goes with it. And it's kind of just organically happened. We always want to find that yes and attitude. We always want to kind of have some... story is very important to me, but it's cool how we go through the process of like a beat sheet, an outline, first draft, second draft, record draft. Then you see the animatic and you're like, oh, well, this isn't working. And just these kind of beautiful, hopefully, pearls of morals kind of come out, and just organically through him.
You've done, prior to this guy, you've done a ton of voice work. Obviously, most notably this summer was Forky. People going nuts over Forky. Did you bring anything you observed from working on those other projects? And now that you're in the executive producer seat, you go, well, in DreamWorks, no slouch. It's some of the biggest movies of all time, but you're coming out of a Pixar movie as well. Do you observe stuff there and go, oh, I like that trick. We should try that in the way we approach this?
Yeah, one thing with working with Toy Story with Pixar is, again, like Pixar is like, I went up there and I was able to record the voice up there. It's just a creative wonderland. Like the place is crazy, but usually you're kind of set apart when you record, and you're like in a recording booth, and there's glass, and then all the directors and writers on the other side, and all the sound goes off in your headphones, and you just see people talking about you, and all of your insecurity just rises to the surface. But at Pixar, you were all in the same room, and so there was a real kind of collaborative process, and you never felt set apart. But I also I loved it because Toy Story 4 did not start off the way it ended. It really, really morphed. I think it was supposed to be something else, and then they brought kind of Forky in midway. And they just have this thing of like, you never know where the story is going to go. You kind of allow it to move where it goes. And I love that just open-handed, well, we'll see where the process goes. And so that's been kind of fun to bring into this. I also learned a big lesson I remember right when they cast me in the Toy Story, the whole time, having been on a show and knowing how much if a voice doesn't match a character, then the whole time you're like, something's not working. So the whole time I was like, listen, guys, I'm doing the show. I understand if my voice doesn't match. I'm totally cool if you fire me. Like, it was just that kind of like, I always wanted to like, it's cool if you don't, and up until like, I would say like 3 months before it came out, in my head I was like, I'm going to be let go. I know because there's just something about if it doesn't match, you kind of have to find the right voice.
Did you have his voice? How long did it take you to find his voice? Did you have that in your head from when you were working on the book? Did you only start to think of it once it became real?
We kind of played with it because he's kind of a higher register than Forky, because Forky's kind of like, I was made for soup, salad. Maybe, he's a little bit like this, whereas Archibald's like way up here. So we kind of, his voice had, years ago, we kind of talked about like just this, I want him to be very bright. And so we just kind of played around with it and found it. And thankfully, they liked it.
You do that thing now? You mess around with kids that know you as Forky. Do you do the Forky voice for kids?
Oh, that's really fun, because if like my friends, if they're big, if their kids are, if they like Toy Story or Forky, it's fun to send them a voicemail and be like, hey, this is Forky. And I'm curious, have you seen a trash can around here? Because I'm trying to find all this kind of stuff. And the kids, then they send a video of, they send a video of them playing it for the kid, and the kid's like, wait a second. How did Forky know my name? What's going on? I love that stuff.
Jeff Garlin, famously, he goes into the parks and buys every Buttercup merch. That's his character's name. He buys every unicorn Buttercup he can find, and he gives them away as presents. I know he's a big park fan, and he does that. Have you bought a bunch of Forkies? Have you adopted that approach as well?
They during press, they gave me all of these kind of Forky buttons, and it's fun. I love like passing that stuff out. I love it.
Very cool. We're in just a minute. We're going to go to the audience because we want to get some questions from them as well. But I mentioned this in the introduction. A 6-time nominee, 2-time winner, nominated once again, primetime. We're going to hold for applause for another nomination.
No. I'm a disaster. There's no reason to applaud.
No, but that's an incredible achievement, and that's a huge thing and much deserved. How does it feel? We're about 2 weeks out. How does it feel going in? This is, Gary's last nomination, as it were. Does it feel different than the last ones? Does it feel the same? What are you thinking?
It's, it's so, even to see my name on a list with like Alan Arkin and Tony Shalhoub and Henry Winkler, you're like, well, who's this guy? One of these things is not like the other. But they're just such pillars of the acting. So I feel like that's incredibly humbling, and I still don't. It's a party I never thought I'd be invited to. So I'm still kind of like, what? But honestly, I think I'm most excited just to hang out with the Veep cast, because not coming back for a season 8 is kind of like, we'll go grocery shopping at Trader Joe's just to be together. It's like let's just hang out. And so I'm really excited to see them and just kind of connect with them again. And
Is there an
when free food is involved, it's always better.
Who says no to that? Is there an active cast group text messaging thread?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really, because we start shooting around now, and I think it's hitting all of us like, oh, we're not. So the Emmys is going to be our season 8. Like we're gonna tape each other and just put that out.
Just cut that together. That'll be it. That's going to be the one.
Work.
Well, best of luck to you. Very excited for you.
Thanks for having me
Congratulations.
back.
Of course, man. And this is so you had your sitcom. Now you have your own cartoon, man. This is wild.
I will say, like, I've never been a part of the creation. I mean, in terms of characters with shows, yes, but like from the ground up. This, I am just so excited for people to meet him. Meet Archibald, because he really is just joy and sees the best. And I know I need that, so I'm excited for people to see it.
And they can see it this Friday. It all drops on Netflix, and it is everything you said it is. There's so much joy. There's so much fun. And it's just another great thing.
And just as a side note, we've so thankful because Loy, who's Archibald's sister, is named after my daughter. And she's voiced by Chelsea Kane. Sage is voiced by Adam Pally. Finley's by Jordan Fisher. The B is Kari Walgren, and the narrator throughout is Rosamund Pike.
Which is incredible. And on top of that amazing cast, your guest stars are outstanding.
I know. Julia came and did a voice, and RuPaul did a voice, which was fantastic. Weird Al did a voice. And it's just people were really kind. Jane Lynch, everybody just kind of was kind enough to say yes, and so it's been really fun to have those people.
Was that you making a lot of phone calls, phoning friends, or how did that work?
Sometimes, but mainly just like explaining the story to them, and and it was fun to like, because I saw RuPaul. I did a guest judged on RuPaul's Drag Race last season, and so it was fun to talk about and all that stuff.
So cool. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Before they kick us out here, I make sure we get to the audience. We got at least 2. Let's do it up. The first one, you've got a microphone right in the front.
Hey.
Go for it.
Tony,
How's it going?
It's going good. How about you?
Nice to meet you. Good. What's your name?
Christopher.
Hey, Christopher.
I wanted to congratulate you on all your success.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks.
And given, like the voice acting or so, when it comes to voice acting in movies and shows, do you find a difference between them versus this show you're producing right now?
That's a great question. I don't know if I do see a difference, because you kind of want to bring the same energy and kind of honesty to a voice as I do with this, as I did with like Toy Story. So I don't know if there is. I kind of relate it to the difference between kind of TV and film. Like people say different, but it's like for me, both have to come from a place of honesty. So not really.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Christopher.
Great question. Thank you. We got one more right here.
Hi, I'm Patricia.
Hey, Patricia.
Nice to meet you. So, my question is, I want to bring you back to the past. I know that it's important to be in the present, but just
Sure, of course,
go back to the past for a minute. What's the character that you will miss the most?
The character I'll miss the most.
And I mean emotionally, not financially. Emotionally.
Paychecks are nice. The character I'll miss the most, I think, is, since it's so fresh, I would say Gary from Veep, just because he that kind of comic dance that Julia and I did together, because I was so close to her, and just being able to, like, if she breathed the wrong way, I was like there. If she dropped her coat, I was right there. And when you're that close and finding those bits all the time, you get very close. And we were doing press here for Veep, I guess in the spring, and we were walking out to do this kind of premiere thing, and I noticed she had a tag underneath her shoe, and I was like, oh wait, let me get it. And I'm like, what's happening? You know, and so it was just like such a Gary Selena moment right before the premiere. But it's like I'm gonna miss that kind of always being in tune with every of her actions, and she's just so lovely. So I'm sad about that going away.
We're sad about that going away as
Thanks,
well.
good question.
Great questions. And thank you guys as a whole for being an awesome audience and coming and hanging out with us.
I know. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir, for coming back and hanging out with us.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
You guys are very
I had such a fun time with you, and thank you for being my present big thing and being here and doing this and making this show. Archibald's next big thing is this Friday on Netflix. Watch all of them. They're fantastic. There's a ton of love in every single episode, and there's so much joy there. You're going to love it. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Let's do this upright and thank Mr. Tony Hale
You
for
guys
being
are
here.
kind.
Come on.
Thank you for having me.